Welcome to Fox Talks Business Podcast with your host, Tanya Fox. Tanya has been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, owning retail, service, and franchise. She holds no punches and is never afraid to talk about the nitty-gritty. Together, you'll explore the good, the bad, and the motivational of business life, turning obstacles into opportunities and failures into successes. So grab your favorite drink and let's have some fun. Here's your host, speaker, crafter, and collaborator, Tanya Fox.
So thank you so much for joining me today, Michelle. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Oh, Tanya, it is an absolute honor to be here. You know, I've listened to your podcast before and they are exceptional. So to be a guest, amazing. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That just warms my heart. So tell our listeners a little bit about your journey to where you got to right now, because you do have quite an interesting backstory.
Oh my goodness. Well, you might hear a little bit of a mangled accent as I speak because I'm originally from Australia. I met the love of my life while he was on vacation there. And politely, after a couple of years of writing letters and talking cassette tapes, there wasn't even the internet back then, journeyed my way with a degree in business. I did a double major degree in business. One side of it was the accounting finance side. The other side was marketing management, and came to Canada. And that was all of 26 years ago that
Wow.
I jumped the pond, and I'm happy to say still with the same great guy.
That's awesome. And I love that. I know some of our younger listeners are probably going to be like, what's a cassette tape? But all of us are like, yep, cassette tape and pencil. They go hand in hand, right?
Yeah. And you know, it is the way that, yes, long distance relationships survived before the internet.
Yeah, like writing letters, physically
Writing
reading,
letters.
not typing and sending,
That's the truth. I remember doing my university papers on an actual typewriter before I remember my very best friend in university, she got one of the very first Apple Mac computers. So,
Oh, yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm so dating myself now.
I am right with you. I remember when they came out with the first typewriter that would actually print, like it would show you on the screen. It was like electronic, and then you could hit enter at the end of the sentence and then it would type. And that was like magical. But I remember my first computer being a Tandy 1000, where you had to like program, like you had to sit there and type code to make like a Pong or like these crappy little games. But
it was horrible. It was horrible. Thank goodness that, technology is what it is today. And now, we don't have to type code to talk to each other like we're doing today.
So tell me a little bit about your career now as a business coach, because I know a lot of people think that that's a great idea, but they're not really exactly sure what that is. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a certified management consultant. So I'm certified by CMC Canada to help businesses in 45 countries around the world. And so the consultant part of me gives you strategies and helps you build tools on how to execute those. And, the coach in me holds your hand along the way. So
Right.
it's a combination of consulting and coaching that I have developed. And I'm also an award-winning business coach. I've been really honored to win some awards in the last few years. And so my role in helping someone develop their strategies to increase productivity and profitability in their business is to really offer them tools, teach them how to use the tools, but realistically, it's up to them to pick the tools up. So I'll build the toolbox for you, and I'll teach you how to use every tool in the toolbox, and then I'll encourage you along the way. Now, by encourage, that means I'm a coach. I'm not a cheerleader. I'm the one who says, okay, get your butt back in the game. You're slacking off. I'll be your accountability buddy. Let's get a new strategy together. So if we need to pause, pivot, and proceed in another direction, we can work on that too. But I'm not the type of coach that just cheers you on even when you're going in the wrong direction.
Right. You help to steer them back where they need to be. Because that's a common thing among business owners, is that we get sort of blinders on, and you're just trying to make it to the next day sometimes. So that's where a business
Absolutely.
coach can really come in, I guess, and help you to sort of get over that little
Yeah,
hump.
really get that clarity not only of where you want to go, but clarity of your current situation. What are your strengths? What are the roadblocks you're facing? It could be a mindset roadblock. It could be a financial roadblock. It could be, hey, you just need to brush up on a skill. So really getting a really good look at where you are, then looking ahead and say, where do you want to be?
Right.
And then the action steps to get there step by step, rather than, I always say, when you go to a restaurant, you never eat the full steak with one bite. You slice it up into tiny little bites so you can take one bite at a time. Business is the same way. You have to slice it up. If you don't, you're going to be overwhelmed. You'll lose your passion. You'll be filled with anxiety, and all of a sudden your business is closed.
Right.
So when you're thinking about having a coach in your corner, that's the person who breaks down that overwhelm when you're looking at the big picture. And honestly, you can't see the trees for the forest or the forest for the trees, because everything seems to merge into one. And the coach comes in and says, okay, let's keep our mind on the summit of the mountain that you want to climb, but let's keep our eyes on our feet so we know what the next step is.
Right. So in your work, because you've been doing this for quite a while,
Mm-hmm.
what are one of the things that comes up a lot, like one of the obstacles that's sort of common? And can you give us a tip for our listeners on like that you would give to somebody who's suffering with that obstacle?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the two commodities in business are time and money.
Right.
So that's what we always struggle with. Time. There's not enough time, and there's never enough money. So when it comes to increasing your productivity, the number one tip I would do is do a morning brain dump each and every day, because we have lots and lots and lots of thoughts that are distracting our focus in our head. It's like that old cassette tape. It's on a loop. It keeps going on and on and on. And every time it rotates, a molecule of stress adds to that thought, and it gets bigger and bigger. We get more stressed, more overwhelmed. When realistically, when we do a brain dump, and I say engage the prefrontal cortex, the logic center of our brain, and then look at every thought on paper, then we're able to prioritize what needs to be done. We're able to time block it in our calendars, because we're slaves to our calendars.
Yes.
And just that 15-minute routine, well, with my clients, they've reported has increased their productivity by 60%. So each morning, every day for 30 days, try it out. 5 minutes of brain dumping every thought, then do 5 minutes of prioritization. I like to use the Eisenhower matrix as the prioritization model. You can Google that. And then put things into your calendar, because when you just leave them on a to-do list, and the to-do list grows and grows, and one thing hops from one day to the next, it's because we're not time blocking the time to actually get it done.
Right. Yeah.
So
I have so much water to drink. It's crazy.
right. And when you have those alarms, it's like, okay, you're just like sipping away.
Yeah.
But so priority, making sure you're making the most of your 1,440 minutes you have in a day. I don't believe time management is actually a thing, because we can't create time.
Right.
So we manage our priorities, get really clear on your priorities, manage your focus, and manage your actions.
And I think that's key too. Like that was probably one of the biggest lessons that I ever learned in business is when I'm sitting down to do a task, I ignore everything else. Like I shut my email off, my phone goes on airplane mode. And I find that helps me to, one, not get distracted, because I'd like to say that I can stay focused, but yeah, I mean, I see something out the window and, I'm like that little kitten that's like, oh, something sparkly.
Shiny.
Yeah. And it's something that's such like a simple thing that, makes such a huge impact. And I love your tip about the brain dumping. I do that. I usually do it at night because for me, my brain just goes. So as soon as I have my phone is downstairs charging. I don't have a TV in my bedroom. Like I have all of that stuff sort of set up, but then my mind starts going. And so for me, I found that, I used to do it in the morning. Now I do it in the evening. I get it all out and then I don't look at it until the morning. And I take that 15 minutes in the morning and then I look at it. And some of the stuff I'm like, why did I think this was such a big thing? Last night I thought that this was like, all consuming. And so I think even just playing around with how you do that can help a lot.
Absolutely. And every strategy is different for everybody. And what I like about the brain dump, you can use it anytime you're overwhelmed. I carry a brain dump journal with me wherever I go because we have those moments of, during the day.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'm just going to take 5 minutes and dump everything and really prioritizing it. That's the key, not just leaving it as a dump. Because sometimes we think something is a priority. It's not. We think it's a needle mover in our business to increase our profitability. It might not be. So looking at that is a great way to identify where you need to focus your time, because your time is just as much of an income producing activity to watch as your money as well. Right. So when it comes to increasing your profitability, I work with my clients through what I call the profit formula. So, and it sounds really easy, but there's strategies behind each and every step. Increasing your clients, of course, is probably one of the most expensive ways to increase your profitability. So nurturing what I call the bottom of the engagement funnels, your supporters and your friends. It really is true that 20% of your clients will bring you 80% of your income, because they either become your most valuable client and keep coming back, or they do that and become your most valuable referral buddy.
Yeah.
So, in order to generate word of mouth, you have to talk about yourself as well, to encourage other people to talk about you.
And I think that's key too. I remember you talking about that at a WOW meeting, and we'll get into what WOW is a little bit later on. But I remember going home and really thinking about that. And that was key when I had a retail store, because I would really pay attention to social media and who it was that was constantly, referring me, or someone would say, where could I find this? And then they would tag me in it. And I would just do something as simple as the next time that they came in, I would give them a discount. And I would say, oh, you get, 15 or 20% off today. And they'd be like, what? Why? And I'd be like, because you referred me and I just wanted to say thank you. And then all of a sudden, like, they would go crazy with the referrals, right? But it's just like you said, it's such a simplistic idea, but it goes so far, especially
absolutely. Especially women in business and leadership, we nurture by nature. Yet we're told in this economy that we need to market and sell, but that doesn't work anymore. It might have worked 5 years ago, but it certainly doesn't work today, because we've moved away from marketing, and we hate being sold to. We go to Netflix to avoid commercials. We PV our TV shows so we can zoom through them. Anything that looks like an ad on Facebook, we just flip right on by.
Yeah.
But I always say that engagement and connection strategies always start with a simple conversation. So that conversation could be that, hey, thanks for liking my post on Facebook. Do you have any questions about that? Or how can I serve you? Or is there a way we can have a conversation about a collaboration? So one of my, Michelle isms is that conversations will equal currency in your business if you have an engagement and connection strategy.
Right. I love that. Conversations can equal currency. That is so true. I'm actually writing it down right now.
Okay.
Wondering, I take notes during this stuff too. So, but I love that. I love that because it's true. Like, there's, so many people who think, well, everybody just shops online, but I find people are starved for that attention. And we're hearing it more and more with a lot of the stores going to automated and self-serve, cash, when you check yourself out and everything. And people are like, I want to see a person. And miss the days when you could call a company and someone would go, hello, now it's
Absolutely.
1, 2, 8, 9 pound, and then, the date of birth of, Eisenhower, and you're like, just give me a person.
It's a really big deal when you get a in-person response. Like, I know that quite often, I'll answer my phone and I'll say, thanks for calling. Wow, hi, this is Michelle. And then people pause because they think I'm actually a machine.
Right,
And
they're waiting.
waiting for the beep. And I said, oh, I thought you were a machine. It's like, no, I'm just that chipper today. I'm
That's
just happy to
wonderful.
talk to you.
So, you are almost at the very, very end stages of releasing a book, and I'm really excited for this book. So tell us a little bit about what the book is about,
Yeah,
when people can start finding it.
absolutely. The book came together from multiple facets, but primarily from and sadly from the death of my mom. So I had what I call, and the book is also now called The Long Flight Home. Being originally from Australia, of course, when with aging parents, that phone call is going to come. That it's like, oh, okay, Michelle, you need to get on a plane. You've got 48 hours. And so we got on a plane within 48 hours. And that process of flying, gosh, I think it was 26 hours by the time we were awake for 40 hours, but it was 26 hours of travel time. It's a long time to think.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought a lot about my mom and the way she lived her life. And I knew, where she was. As I was flying over Tokyo, she was taking her last breaths. And I wondered if she had any regrets. I wondered, you always get to that, will I have any regrets on my deathbed, right?
Right.
And I had thought about all the things she had always said she wanted to do, but never got to do. And it wasn't because she didn't have the resources, or it wasn't because she didn't have the skills, or because she had the time. It was because she had all these negative thoughts in her head. She was never diagnosed as clinically depressed, but, you heard those thoughts coming out of her mouth. Oh, if only I could do this, but I'm not smart enough. Or if only I could do that. No, that's just not for me. And I thought, wow, look at all those thoughts that were holding her back. And then I turned the mirror on myself. And I thought, I have a list of things on my wish list that I've always wanted to do, but told myself I couldn't.
Right.
So I started writing all those things that I wanted to do. And then I made another list of all the thoughts that told me I couldn't do them. And and then I put myself on a year-long guinea pig hunt of sorts. And I started doing the things on my list. I was either going to prove the thought right, or I'm going to prove it wrong.
Right.
So I was hoping that I could prove it wrong. And there were many different things, like I wanted to sing again. I wanted to jet ski. I wanted to prove that I could conquer my fear of heights. I wanted to, I wanted to be on stage and do a presentation. And I wanted to open my own business. So it was all of those things, whether they be tiny, like maybe I just need to go take singing lessons, to I'm going to launch WOW.
Right.
And have a massive change in my life. But again, as I coached and consulted with my clients, I also pinpointed thoughts that they were having too. That it wasn't because the women and men that were coming into my office for coaching and consulting, they had the skills. And if they didn't, they were certainly capable of learning them.
Right.
And it wasn't a lack of finances that was holding them back, because you can always find money if you really look hard for it.
Very true.
It was the mindset, the mindset of being a successful entrepreneur, and I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I can't do that, or I don't deserve success. All those negative thoughts. And so I put myself on a year-long journey to conquer the thoughts and find a way, a simple way, not the affirmations way where you stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself you look like Cindy Crawford, and you never really will, and you'll never really believe it. But to find a journey of, part of the title of the book is The Long Flight Home, but coming home to the truth about who you are and being really realistic with what you can actually accomplish once you put your mind to it.
Right.
And so Henry Ford coined it really, really well back in the 30s of, whether you think you can or whether you think you cannot, either way, you'll be right.
Yeah. I love that quote.
Yeah, and it's so true. So I mapped out, and I'm not a psychologist. I'm not anything with an ist, a psychiatrist or a psychologist or anything with an ist. I'm a coach and a consultant that was plagued with negative thinking my entire life, and finally came up with a really simple system, a combination of what scientists call metacognition and neuroplasticity. That, a simple system daily that I use to say, you know what, I know what the truth is about who I am and what I can do. And that changed my life.
And I think it's true. Like you said, I think we are the biggest person to talk ourselves out of stuff because we play the what game, right? And I can't remember who it was that said that WAIT is an acronym for who am I to. And like you said, we play that game. Like, who am I to think I can do this? Or who am I to think I can open this business? And, we end up questioning ourselves so much that it ends up becoming something that is sort of like just background talk. And we don't even realize we're doing it anymore. And then, we get to that point where we're like, gee, I really wish I would have tried to do that,
Well, when we rewire our brain with negative thoughts, it really does. We get into the habit of believing them to be true, when they're actually lies we're telling ourselves. But as long as we believe them to be true, we will automatically go into what I call self-defeating games. Games we play with ourselves and with others that hold ourselves back in life, love, and business. So as the beautiful thing about that, Tanya, is that it's a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever given up smoking, or if you've ever given up caffeine, or God forbid, if you've ever given up cheesecake, tell me, how would you do that? That you can give up the habit of believing the lies that you're telling yourself. You can rewire your brain through the science of neuroplasticity, which is not woo-woo or brainwashing or false affirmations or anything like that. You can rewire your brain to believe the truth about who you are. And it's simple as a saying that, let's use what I call the negative thought, I'm too fat, because I carry that around with me a lot. If the truth is that if you checked my BMI, I would be in the overweight category.
Right.
And there's no emotion to it. That's just the truth, and that's fact.
Mm-hmm.
However, the negative thought tells me I'm too fat to go paddleboarding, or don't get on a jet ski because you'll sink it, or you certainly won't be able to do the 10K Mud Hero Ultra because you're not in shape. Well, I say, I don't think so, negative thought. Round is a shape, and yes, I did do the 10K Mud Hero Ultra, and I love paddleboarding now, but had I listened to the lies that I was telling myself, the life cost of not doing that. I trained for Mud Hero Ultra because my eldest daughter wanted to do it so badly as a mother-daughter event, and my eldest daughter was moving to Australia the following year. So the cost of not doing that was huge for me.
Right.
And had I told myself, you know what, I can't do it, I would have been sitting on the sidelines, cheering her on, having a wonderful time, but missing out in a really big way, not being able to create that lifelong memory.
Mm-hmm.
And we do the same thing with business. We don't go to a networking event because, we tell ourselves it's just not for us, or, well, I don't know how to talk to people, or I'm not good with people, or you have to be an extrovert to, get out of the house and shake a hand, when that's not necessarily true. And the truth is, introverts do a fantastic job of networking. And with implementing a few strategies, you can too.
Yeah. And most, like, I always say, like, any comedian that I've ever had the privilege of meeting is such an introvert, like all of them. There's very few that are outgoing. And a lot of people will say that to me too. Well, it's easy for you to go out. And I'm like, I get nervous just like anybody else. The only difference is I push myself to go and do it. And, you know, and I get out there into the big crowds and I talk to people. And after one person, then I relax, because then I realize, like you were saying, I've created what it's going to be like. I've created all of these pre-movies in my head of what the situation is going to be. And then I talk to somebody and realize that none of that is true. Like, that's not what was going to happen. Like, they weren't going to laugh in my face and walk away. What was I thinking, kind of thing.
And yet we become obsessed with believing and get into the habit of believing the lies that we tell ourselves and believing those false thoughts. And then sadly, you end up on your deathbed with a baggage full of regrets that could have been totally avoided. And I know that, one of my reasons for writing the book, not only, to showcase my own guinea pig experiment and share the stories of my clients who have also walked through the process, is that no one needs to be like my mom.
Right.
And no one needs to be counting their last breaths going, if only.
Yeah.
And because life is a gift, and if we don't use it well, well, it's such a loss.
And so when can people find the book, and where can they find it? Because I'm sure they want to learn more about how they can overcome these negative thoughts, because all of that is in the book as well. On how
Absolutely. The tools, the journaling sections, all of that is in the book. And I am hoping this will be released and published on Amazon in fall of 2019. So September, October. I know right now we're in the editing process and we are refining and reframing, and we should be hitting the presses early September for publication in the fall.
That's so exciting. Well, you're going to have to keep in touch with me and let us know. We're going to let our listeners.
Absolutely. You follow me on Facebook or any other social media, you'll be the first to know.
Perfect. And so we talked a couple of times here about WOW. And so I know some people aren't familiar with it. That's how I originally got connected with you. So tell our listeners a little bit about what WOW is and a little bit about the history of how it came to be.
Sure. WOW came to be because I was hungry. It's just that simple. In my previous role before I launched WOW, I was a small business advisor for a government program called the Rural Alberta Business Center. And I was sitting at in Rocky Mountain House at my desk on a Wednesday, and I had a free Friday lunch, and I hadn't been out to lunch with the girls for a long time. But I was sitting there thinking, you know what, it would be kind of cool to go out with some women in business in my community and not talk the way we normally talk. Because when we go for lunch, we talk about, oh, I love your hair. Where'd you get your necklace? How are your kids? What are you doing for vacation? How's your husband? How's your husband's work? But we never actually talk about our work or our careers or our businesses. So I simply, thank you to the power of Facebook, sent out a few Facebook messages and said, hey, would you like to come for lunch with me on Friday? We'll meet here at this time. There's one caveat, though. I love your kids, but I don't want to talk about them. What I really want to do is talk about your business. I want to know what you do well, what are some of the roadblocks you might be facing, and let's talk as women in business, not just volunteers in our community, moms, wives, whatever. So I sent out a host of that particular message, and 17 ladies came for lunch.
Wow.
June 5 years ago. So we just celebrated our 5th year anniversary. So from that 17, the conversation was pretty casual at first, but I was very strict about we only talk business here.
Right.
And so they were so excited because they'd never had that platform before, where they could just talk to somebody who got them, someone who was walking the walk, But for whatever reason, when women are in business, because we wear so many hats, we also operate in silos. So we go to our office, we open up our stores, or we're out at markets and we're focused on business. Then we switch hats and we take Johnny to the soccer game and Susie to swim lessons. And then we come home and cook supper, but we forget to connect with women like us.
Right.
And that lunch gave everybody the aha moment of, we're connecting with women like us. Isn't that cool how we can learn from each other, how we can support each other? And wouldn't this be great if we could do it again?
Yeah.
So they looked at me and said, we would like to do this every month. Can you arrange that? And I have a hard problem sometimes saying no to just about everything. So I said, sure, yeah, absolutely. Let's do this monthly, maybe bring a friend and see how it goes. And so sure enough, they did. And the next luncheon, 25 ladies came. And the next luncheon, 40 ladies came. And it was at the first luncheon that one of the ladies said, hey, you know what, if we're going to do this every month, we need to call ourselves something. You know how women like to label something and make it a club or a group. And I went, okay, well, it's your luncheon, you name it, whatever you want. And so she looked around the room and said, we're all women out working. And another lady wrote that down and she said, hey, that stands for WOW. So WOW became WOW. And it grew exponentially beyond what I ever thought it would.
Right.
Other ladies from other communities would come to our town and say, hey, this is really cool. And it's very different because, to come to a luncheon and be a part of the WOW community, there's no cost, there's no commitment. That's the last thing a woman in business needs, is another commitment.
Right.
Right? So, it was pretty relaxed and casual from the community standpoint. And they said, would you start one of these in our town? And I went, sure. So then all of a sudden it started broadcasting throughout Alberta. And now we have 11 chapters in Alberta. And then a lot of ladies were saying, well, I can't make it in person. Is there a way to connect online? So I opened up a Facebook group. And now we're close to 2,000 members from around the world. And we connect using Zoom and have online chats as well. And then it became, hey, we would like to up-level our business skills or work together in masterminds, or, hey, would you develop a membership? So, of course, I said yes to all of those. And so I just keep listening to what the community wants and try to develop a solution. And so now in September, we'll be launching, not just have the WOW community and the lunches, but we're also launching what I call the WOW VIP Tribe membership. And that is access to me once a week as your coach and consultant. If you have a business question, I'll be sitting in a Zoom room once a week waiting for you to come ask it. There is a plethora of business building webinars accessible through the website. Resources you could download, workbooks, checklists. If you're a checklist girl, you can just download the checklists. And not only that, you get profiled as a member to promote your business, because it's really, WOW is not the Michelle show. It is the community.
Right.
So showcasing the community as a member. And, membership opens September 1st, and it's as little as $25 a month, because I really wanted to make it super affordable. Because after the RABC program closing at the end of June, there was no affordable service available. So the membership, I'm hoping, will mitigate that gap in the communities that WOW serves and beyond.
Yeah. And it's also wonderful too, because it's an area that people can go to no matter where they are. So whether they're rural or, and sometimes that's really hard for people to get out, to even just leave their business and to be able to do stuff. So I love the online, version of it as well. Mm-hmm. And we'll make sure that exactly. And we'll make sure that we list to all of the websites where people can reach you. And so if someone is interested in hiring a business coach, what are some of the things, some of the tips that you can give them when they're looking for one? Obviously, if they're in their area, they should go to you, but if they're not that close to you.
Every business coach is different and has different methodologies. First and foremost, sit down and have a coffee and just see if you're the right fit.
Right.
You know, if the business coach sits down and says, okay, let me tell you all about myself, that might not be the right business coach, because, you know, as a consultant or a coach, we're naturally inquisitive. So before we say anything about us, it should be like, tell me what's going on with you.
Right.
And also have an understanding that life and business intersect. If you're a true entrepreneur, you're doing it because you love what you do and it is a part of your life. It's not just work. It's not just a job.
Yeah.
So that means life and business intersect. So, you know, the coach should be asking you not only questions about your business, but how does your business fit into your life? How does your life fit into your business? You know, if you're looking for work-life balance, how are you going to successfully time block that?
Right.
So, and also ask your coach, does your coach have a coach? Never hire a coach without a coach, because it's simply that, and you know, if a coach doesn't have a coach, do they really believe in coaching?
Right.
Right. So it's always a way to, you know, as a coach, I have several mentors and coaches that keep pushing me to the next level, keep guiding me to the next level, because it doesn't matter whether you're a coach or a mentor or a mentee. Sometimes you get stuck in the mud. And the coach's job is to come up to the mud pit and say, Tanya, if you swim 2 strokes to the left, you're going to get on a ladder and get yourself out.
Right.
But you can't see the ladder because you're flailing away in the mud.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's another thing. Make sure the coach is certified, because coaching is a very broad spectrum these days. So make sure you ask, what certifications do they have? You know, are they a certified management consultant? Are they certified by the International Coaches Federation? There's tons of great certifications that coaches should have.
Yeah.
Because it's not a regulated industry at this point, so anybody can call themselves a coach.
And it really is one of those things that is, you know, very fast becoming a buzzword, you know, that everybody is adding that. And I remember going through that when I was an accountant, and I'd have so many people that would say, oh yeah, I'm an accountant. I'm like, no, you're a receptionist who happens to do accounts receivable and payable.
That's right.
Make you an accountant, you know?
That does not make, I remember I have accounting background as well. It's like, you know what? That does not do, you do not do what an accountant does.
An orderly can't pick up, you know, the chart of a patient and be like, okay, so we're going to bring you into surgery. Like, just because you look the part doesn't, you know, mean, and you know, some of the terms doesn't mean that you should be doing it, you know,
Absolutely.
as a career. So, and I think asking those questions, I think that some people get really shy about that. You know, they get shy about asking people for what their credentials are, or asking them, you know, for referrals, and searching that, you know, that out. So I think that that's a great tip, because we
Absolutely.
tend not to, we feel shy about it. And I don't understand why. I have no problem asking, but.
Well, no, absolutely not, because working with a coach or a consultant is an investment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's an investment that you want a rate of return on. It's not I say it's not an expense. It's not like, you know, a pen that you're going to use and, you know, you'll throw away. It's not it's an expense. It really is an investment in your business. It's an investment in your life, because you want a return on that investment. You want results. So ask that coach, like, you know, what kind of results have your clients had? And certainly making sure that the coach maintains confidentiality of those clients, or they have permission from the clients to say, you know what, here's a list of 5 or 6 clients. Please call them. And here's, you know, some of my reviews on Google reviews, or my Facebook reviews, or what have you. You want to make sure you're working with the right person who can get you the results. And if you're looking for another area of expertise and that coach says, you know what, this isn't really in my wheelhouse, they should be able to refer you.
Right. To someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is interested in talking with you a little bit more about hiring you as a business coach or information for WOW, where can they go to get a hold of you?
Oh, sure. Yeah. My website is wowbiztribe.com. So WOWBIZTRIBE.com. You can reach me at michelle@wowbiztribe.com. My phone number is 403-845-9150. And if you find me on Facebook and message me, I'm really accessible there too. I'm on LinkedIn. I think I'm on Instagram and Twitter, and there's probably not a social media platform that I'm not a part of.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to sit and chat with us. I'm sure, like everyone else, I have so many notes that I'm excited to go through again, like talking about the steak and making sure that in your business, you realize that you can't take it in one bite. I love that analogy. And it's
Oh,
you have
yeah.
to take it piece by piece. And I still love the conversation equal currency. And I think that that's a big one. So thank you so much.
Oh, Tanya, thank you so much for allowing me to chat with you, to showcase WOW. And I hope, your listeners, I really hope your listeners found some great value today.
Thank you. It was wonderful for me to be able to reconnect with Michelle again and just learn so much more from her. She's such a wealth of knowledge. And I'm really excited to see everything that the wowbiztribe.com website is going to have to offer coming up this September. She has a lot of great resources, some that I've used myself, and I'm really looking forward to all the additional information she's going to have and going to be sharing. So I encourage you all to head over there. And as Michelle says, the negativity that we cause upon ourselves can really stop us from doing a lot in our life. So I encourage each of you today that if you all of a sudden find yourself thinking negative thoughts, I want you to take a minute, I want you to breathe and count to 5, and then I want you to take that negative thought and turn it into something positive, even if it's over something small, like a piece of cheesecake and whether or not you should eat it. Michelle's vote is that go ahead and eat it. So as I say at the end of every episode, I hope that you enjoyed and got something out of it. And remember to have fun, because if you're not having fun, why are you doing it?